Okay, so here we are, and we've got a couple of data sources. I'll start by using a Google search. You'll also note that we've got the option to browse keywords against the ATO taxonomy, essentially their legal database taxonomy. So let's just go. So we've got fringe benefit. Just do a quick search on that so you can see what happens there. And you can see we've got a straight up Google search. From there you can jump out to the actual content, or you can ask for a summary. So you'll notice this takes a couple of seconds, and there we get a summary snapshot of what that page is all about. And we could do that anywhere along here. So all the way down, just asking for summarizations of that bit of content to save us jumping out and reading it in any detail. Of course, it will take a couple of seconds, so give it a chance. And in this case, I'm not going to shorten it. I'm going to let it go to real life time frame. So there you go. That's a snip of that. Now, from that database or data source perspective, we could switch over to ATO database, and then I'll just show you what's happening here. You'll see that there's no content down there. So if I put that back in, enter, noting the data sources, right? So see it populate out. Let me just wind that up. So you've got 10, 10, 10, 10, nothing, right? And that's because the data sources are just to that depth on the ATO system. So let's now go back to the chat function, and we can start over here. Haven't quite finished this here, so we will put in some better examples. But essentially, you're chatting with Tax Genii, and he's going to give you a hand with the ATO legal database, either via Google or via the ATO database, right? So, and that database is essentially just a copy of the ATO database that we're using. So let's try something else here. I've got a query over here that I can copy in. And let's see what we get. And I'm going to compare a couple of these amongst Google and essentially the ATO database. No doubt Google is actually looking in the same places, but it's just the way that we're getting access to this stuff. You get slightly different outcomes in each. So here you've got your company tax rates. Again, you can jump out, see what's out there, or you can stay in and then you can ask for a summary, right? So you can see here you've got the source link, and if we were to expand this down into cases, for instance, you're going to see something else again, which is all the, well, actually, let me show you. So let's change the data source, and we'll put cases, and maybe in this time we'll start a new chat. You're always better off starting a new chat. So I've got fringe benefit, a new chat. My data source is going to be cases only. So let's give that a whirl and see what we get. So you'll see that it's thinking. And again, that will take a bit of time because it is diving and doing a deep search through all of that content until we finally get a result. And there could be a lot of results through there, right? In case law involving fringe benefits. Okay, so here we go. And you can see how we get the trace through to exactly where that reference for fringe benefits is. And if we were to jump out, we'd come out here, and probably we're going to find Control F, fringe, all the way through, right? Of course. So let's get a summarization. We'll try a summarization on the last one to see how extensive this is. So instead of reading through all of that, what you're doing is you're just asking for a summarization. And here we go. So we've got a nice summary that we can read through, and all of our references. So I'm going to show you something else now. Let's start a new chat. Now, anytime you're chatting with the system, you want to make your prompt as explanatory to the system as possible. Don't leave room for ambiguity. If you're talking about a financial year, talk about a financial year and mention it. And if you're talking about a kind of an entity, company, trust, partnership, or whatever, mention that as well. So if you leave your prompt broad, you're not going to get what you want. So always think about refining your prompt. Now what I'm doing here is I'm going to jump across between, what I did wrong there was I left that just at cases, which is probably not what I should have done. Let's just see what this thing does anyway. I don't know if it'll find enough information in cases, which I don't think it will, because I don't think there have been any section 100A cases, or maybe there have been. Anyway, let's have a quick compression look at that one. We'll see if it says anything about section 100A. Otherwise, it is possible it's found something that's... Oh, here's our explanation, right? So, involving trust, yeah, that looks right. So it did find stuff of interest. I don't know how it could get something this far back. Oh no, 2023. But 1997? I don't think so. Anyway, you do have to make some discriminatory decisions around what you're going to look at and what you're going to use to analyze. But let's go back to the data source and let's switch it over to that, and we'll use the same prompt and see what we get and what references we get out of the Google system. So again, it's going to take a moment. Okay, so here we go. We're in the same chat. We're still talking about or asking for the same thing. Trust distribution, managing section 100A. And this is all found through the Google search. So maybe let's just go for the second one. We'll see what Google actually found. Okay, that looks quite interesting, and we'll ask for a summary on that. So again, a bit of time, but of course this is going to be quicker for you than trying to do the summarization yourself. That's really what this engine is doing. It's doing two things. It's helping you search, helping you compress for easy understanding. So we'll start a new chat. Company has a total revenue of 10 million, of which 9 million is interest. Is the company a base rate entity? So, the data source is searching across is just Google to start with. And what do we have here? So, let's see what the answer is. No, the company would not be considered a base rate entity. This is because the company's base rate entity passive income, which includes interest, would be more than 80%. This is an example of it reasoning effectively. Doesn't always reason effectively, but at least in this example it does. So let's change our data source and see if we get the same result using the ATO references. So noting these are all Google references. Let's paste that in and see what we get. So I'll let this run real time. It does take a little bit longer on the ATO data set. Oh, actually that was pretty quick that time. So there we go. What do we have here? The company would not be a base rate entity. Okay, so same kind of result. And of course you're finding here what references it used to derive its outcome. And you can of course jump across, or here's your pop-up to show you what that resource is. And you can get a summarization there. So that's using that particular data source. Right. Now let's do one other thing.